Hi, everyone. My name is Holly, and recently I reversed my opinion of animals. It happened after I nearly got rich thanks to my rat named Soul. She definitely proved that she's got the right name, and you'll see it for yourself soon. I'll start by saying that I've never had a special attitude towards animals, and I've certainly never been an animal rights activist. And that's why I've never had pets at home. I've had a pretty good life, and everything was more than fine with me. Fortunately, my parents shared my position. But frankly speaking, I've always been a little afraid of animals. I mean, any animals. Of course, I know that one should be afraid of people and stuff like that, but my fear is something at the subconscious level. I'm afraid of them. When I was young, the kids whom I played with in the yard knew about this fear. They often took it as a weakness and actively used it against me. They would unleash a dog or thrust a hamster into my shirt, and it was considered to be a top class joke. And it all made me stay away from the animal world. Once I called the elevator, and there was a huge Rottweiler in it all by itself. At that time, I was 7 or 8, and I still remember the horror that I experienced when the doors opened. After that incident, I started to stutter, and it took a while for my speech to return to normal. About a year later, a stray cat attacked me on the street. It scratched and bit me. I had to endure a bunch of rabies shots and a lot more. It was very, very painful. After a series of troubles with animals, they were sure that I would never have tailed friends at home, and I doubted it too. But apparently, the universe decided to play a trick on me, and last year it gave me Soul. It happened so unexpectedly that I didn't even realize how a real wild rat started living in my house, as if my nightmare had come true. But it was I who wanted it. So this is how it happened. Early in the morning, I went jogging in the park. Sometimes I have such urges and I start doing sports, but I can keep doing it for 3 days at most. That case was no exception. It was about 6 a.m., there was no one around. I saw only a lonely elderly jogger on the horizon, and he quickly disappeared. There was beauty, silence, and solitude. Suddenly, I heard a squeak. It was right at the time when my playlist paused for a while. Was I imagining things? Nope, it was a real squeak, and it surely wasn't my headphones. I decided to stop and look around. The sound came from the bushes, and at some point I thought of a terrible thing. I thought maybe there was a real baby in the grass, and that gave me goosebumps. I was scared to come closer, but still something made me do it to see what was there. And there was a rat with her paw caught in a trap. She tried to escape and rushed about. And she had tears in her eyes, just like people. She looked at me and squeaked piteously, as if asking for help. At first, I thought, oh, a rat, and wanted to run away from there as soon as possible. But that look on its face, I couldn't leave it. I simply couldn't. So I decided to set her free myself. If only you knew what such a decision cost me. It's like getting yourself to make a parachute jump or scuba dive with sharks. To be honest, I was shocked that I did it. Anyway, when the rat was freed from the trap and I saw her wounded paw, I realized that I couldn't let her go like this either. Where would she go in such a state? Moreover, she kept on squeaking plaintively. So, Soul and I ended up at home. I spent all my savings taking her to the vet to get bandages and to feed her, and I fought with my parents every day for them to let her stay at our house. They were definitely not ready for such a family member, but soon they came to terms with it. As soon as Soul recovered, I realized that I couldn't part with her, and we became very close. So the wild rat became my first pet. For a while, she hardly left her cage, and then she got tired of it and she learned to open it, get out, and walk around. After the walk, she would return to the cage and would close it. I never thought that an animal could be so smart, and I didn't interfere with Soul's walks. But my tailed pet never failed to amaze me. One evening after a walk, she brought me 3 $10 bills. She clenched them tightly with her teeth and unclenched them only when she came close to me, putting the money at my feet. I was very surprised and for some reason decided that she had taken the money that my parents had dropped, so I chided Soul a little and gave the dollars back to my mother. But the next evening, the rat brought me money again. This time it was a $50 bill, and she did it exactly the same way. She returned from a walk and threw the money at my feet. I scolded her for stealing money again and rushed to give the money to my mother, but she said that she and dad had nothing to do with it because they had no $50 bills. At that moment, I really regretted that rats couldn't talk. Otherwise, I would have gladly taken a course of getting passive income while walking around. In my opinion, it was genius. But where did Soul get this money anyway? It couldn't appear out of the blue. I even thought of following the breadwinner, but she was clearly against it and would rush out of the house so dashingly that I couldn't even fathom where she ran. If someone had told me before that the rat was such an intelligent animal, I would never have believed it. Meanwhile, the daily offerings of Soul continued to increase. Once again, she was back from her walk and brought me $320. At that moment, I was happy and a little worried at the same time. On the one hand, money is never too much, and few people aren't happy with it. But on the other hand, dang, what kind of money was this? I didn't even know if I could spend any of it, if it was real or not. I got the answer to my questions unexpectedly and very timely, just when I wanted to make a small purchase spending some of the money that Soul had brought. When my parents and I were cleaning the grounds, we noticed a neighbor who was doing something in the grass, and she surely didn't trim it. When my mom asked her how she was doing, the neighbor said that a rat sneaked into her house every day and stole money from her, her husband, and her children. She added that it was a very cunning and arrogant animal, so she had to resort to trapping the house. And then she said that she had already set traps in the park nearby, hoping to ward off rodents from our area, but something went wrong. Then I figured it all out. It turned out that when I had saved Soul, she had been in the trap of this evil and cruel woman. And now she took revenge on her abuser, taking money from her for moral and physical damage and bringing it to me as a token of gratitude. But now Soul was in danger and had to be stopped immediately. I had to go to extremes and lock her in the cage. But since I was tormented by remorse, I had a conversation with her. I told her everything. In the end, I apologized and said that I couldn't risk her life, so I deprived her of her walks for a little while. Surprisingly, Soul sat quietly and calmly for 10 days, not even trying to get out, as if she really understood everything. And when I let her walk, she stopped leaving our territory. She started catching beetles encroaching on Mom's flowers. It seemed that I have the most loyal and devoted friend for whom being useful is the meaning of life. By the way, I put all the money received from Soul into my neighbor's mailbox. Are you afraid of rats? Could you have a rodent pet in your house? Give your answers in the comments, like the video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel.